gentlemen, and a warm welcome. It's great to see all of you. I see some of you are not muted, although we have set the setting to force mute. So can you please just ensure that your microphone is on mute so that there's no disturbance whilst the presenter is presenting. It's great to see all of you and welcome to the webinar this afternoon. The presenter will be Peter de Villiers, which I'll introduce shortly. Just a few comments. We will be recording the webinar, so you will receive a copy of the recording tomorrow from Charmaine. And then you should be on mute, ladies and gentlemen. I see there's maybe one or two still that I can mute. If you are not on mute, please just mute yourself and please keep yourselves on mute until the end of the webinar so that the presenter can present without any disturbances. We will have a question and answer session towards the end of the webinar. So if you do have questions, you can just jot it down. You're also welcome to put your questions in the chat and I will answer in the chat, or I will also collate and then present the questions to Peter towards the end of the webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, most of you know Peter very well. Those of you that don't know Peter, he's the author and the functional developer of the ShadowMatch system, and he still currently holds the role as head of research and development at ShadowMatch. If you want to know more about ShadowMatch and all the products related to ShadowMatch, please visit our information website, www.shadowmatch.com. There you can find information, resources, articles, videos, and much more. I think without further ado, Peter, thank you very much. We're looking forward to the next hour. Over to you.
Thank you, Lizette, and warm welcome to everybody. Thanks for joining this webinar. It's quite an intriguing topic, very interesting. It's a topic with a lot of ideas and theories and books and articles being published every year. I try my very best to keep it quite simple because the problem that I have is that if I work with things that are too complicated, I battle to work with them in a proper manner. So I try to simplify things, get things into a framework that is easy to understand and easy to follow, and then I can work with that. You must also forgive me for the fact that simplification is my strongest habit, so I tend to oversimplify things. And I always say to people, I actually said to somebody yesterday, if I don't understand a question, I just change the question. So bear with me, we'll get through it. What we will do, ladies and gentlemen, is I will handle 15 important aspects and key indicators to the success and failure of a team. It obviously will be on the recording, so you don't have to take notes unless you want to make notes specifically for your own attention, or you would like to ask a question. You can post the question, as Lizette said, in the chat box, and she will then deal with that. So I will handle 15 of these. Let's call them easy to follow principles related to teams and what makes a team work and what causes teams to fail. And then I will go into ShadowMatch and actually show you in the team functionalities of ShadowMatch how these things could be seen and what the challenges are when we work with a team. So I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me for a moment. And I will check with Lizette if the screen sharing is good and up and running. Lizette, is that good? Cool. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when we work with teams, or we have to manage a team, or if we are part of a team, we must understand that teams are extremely powerful entities, but they are as powerful as they are. They can be as destructive, and they are very sensitive. We think of teams as just the collaboration of people doing this, the job as a job that must be shared by more than one or two or three or four people because of the workload. Teams are very complex, and the complexities of a team exponentially increases as the number of team members increases, and that is just a pure mathematical reality, because our habits and our behavior patterns, our engagement with each other, the diversity in the team, etc., makes a team a very sensitive entity, a collective entity, but also a very powerful one. Now, you must remember, when we have a powerful entity, these high-powered entities can either be constructive and they build castles and big companies, or they destroy them. So any powerful entity must be handled with great care and with attention to the functional capabilities of such an entity. What I want to do is, let's first have a look at 5 very obvious components of a successful and a strong team. The first thing, ladies and gentlemen, is, and it is such a simple scenario that somebody in grade 8 in high school must be able actually to think about this. A team must have a focused goal. And we miss this point hands down easily. I have been consulting for many years in companies and in organizations, non-profits and all kinds of organizations. And my first question normally was for a team leader, whether it's a customer service team or a project team or a senior executive team, is what is your single focused goal? They can't tell me because they don't know. And if we don't have it, the team becomes dysfunctional and the team becomes scattered. The second thing is transparent on behaviors and skills. And this is where Shadow Match, the team functionality in Shadow Match could play such a critical role, because we sit around the table and we don't know about the skills of the people in the team. And I can keep you busy until 7 o'clock tonight with examples where we had a team and we had the skills to do critical things for the success of the team within the team, and we didn't know it. The challenging point in many instances was that the person who held the skills didn't realize that he or she actually has the skills for the specific task. They battle to connect. The moment the skill is outside of a direct connection to the task, some team members battle, and some of them just don't have the self-confidence to say, but I can do that. Or they put themselves to the table and say, but I can do this. I have the skill to do this. And I've seen this many times with people around the table, that we are looking for somebody specifically in terms of behaviors or skills, and they just don't come forward. Now, this is where Shadow Match can help so much, because if we have the skills of the individuals around the table captured by skills grid, and we have their behaviors, and we have a look at the skills grid, the team grid profile of the team, we can immediately see who has the behaviors that we can channel to specific tasks. Then the collective deadline commitment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is such a fascinating aspect of a team. The one thing that stands out, and I've done some of the research with universities and study teams, the one thing that frustrates students working together on a project, an assignment, or an assignment as a team, that stands out as the #1 frustration, is team members not meeting the deadlines that they have committed to. This is a critical destruction point in a team. If team members commit to their teams, I will be done with this by Wednesday, and Wednesday comes, Wednesday gone, and the things are not done. This collapses a team almost at will and instantly. So if you work with a team, you must ask certain deadline commitments. Every individual in the team must. There's not a try to or do your best, must make the set deadlines. And this is because the reason behind this, it's not that we want to be harsh. It destroys the energy in the team. It destroys the motivation of the team. It destroys the capability of the team to make progress. And it could be related to one individual. Underlying group loyalty obviously plays a very important role, ladies and gentlemen. I will spend a little bit of time later on in our discussion around diversity in a team. But underlying group loyalty in a team means that if one team member is convinced or becomes aware of the fact that another team member is struggling with something and I can help, I must. That is the underlying individual loyalties amongst the individuals in the team. Now, obviously, there are some behavioral patterns that makes this very difficult, because if we are in strong disagreement around the focus and the goal of the team and the collective loyalty that we must have towards each other, then I'm not that willing to help my colleagues in the team, and I stand back. And with me standing back, not helping my colleagues, could collapse the success of the team. Then number 5 of these 5 important points, ladies and gentlemen, is a team is very dependent on a leader. This is unfortunately, and I wish this was different. I so wish we could work without leaders, because currently we live in a world where leadership is a serious crisis, especially if we look at the political playground just around the globe. Leadership is in crisis. But I wish for a world where we do not need leaders on any level, not in school, not in primary school, not in high school, university, college, not at the workplace, not in politics, least of all, but that we could just as a collective function. Unfortunately, we're not there. And leaders play a critical role in the success of the team. And their single most important role is to create a vision and to keep the team on track with the vision and the goal. That is the single most important role of a leader, to keep the energy of the team focused on the vision and on the goal of the team, and to continuously build that single goal or whatever the goals of the team are. Then, ladies and gentlemen, what compromises a team? Obviously, leaders. Leaders can destroy a team. Then you will see in my pictures, ladies and gentlemen, I've selected such fancy pictures. I just want to show you this one. I want to show you how these rowers are in perfect harmony with one another and how they work together. If you look at this one, you can just see that the rows and the position and the seating is not in sync. So a scattered vision, if we have different ideas in a team about where the team is going, we then scatter our vision, and everybody then becomes slightly less aware of the collective vision and the vision, the optimal vision for the team. And just that slight being out of sync with a vision becomes a scattered situation, and we then just don't work together anymore. Then, ladies and gentlemen, a poor connectedness in the team is a crisis. If we are not connected with one another, with the loyalty that we spoke about in the previous slide, that loyalty towards my fellow team members, we have a team that becomes disconnected. Then it's no longer a team anymore. It's a gathering of individuals, and every individual have their own agenda, and every agenda is slightly different from the agenda of other team members. And remember, we must make ourselves aware of slight differences that could have large implications for a team. If there are 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 slight small differences between people in a team, those things could add up. And the collective of the differences becomes a crisis for the team, and the team becomes dysfunctional. Subgroups without purpose. Any team, ladies and gentlemen, any team has subgroups. We cannot get away from it. Once long ago, Lizette and I had a meeting when we were in the early days of building Shadow Match as a business. And we had a bit of a difference of opinion on something that we need to do. And Lizette then said to me, Peter, we are only 2 in the business and we have people issues. So what will happen if we have 20? And this is the reality, ladies and gentlemen. We battle to find common ground between people. And if we disagree on this statement, I think we are out of touch with our world. We battle to find common ground as a human race where we seriously agree about things. So subgroups in teams without purpose can become extremely disruptive, and they can become a very negative influence for the rest of the team and the collective success of the team. And then we get to diversity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on the shadowmatch.com website, there's a video, a whiteboard video that we have dedicated to the question of diversity. I urge you to have a look at it. It's quite an informative video. It's a very nice outline of diversity in the workplace. But in teams, I hear this quite often, that I want a team I want an executive team or an exco that is diverse. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we must be very careful when we make these statements, because diversity is a challenge. And I'm not on the bandwagon of gender diversity and race and culture and language. These are things that we shouldn't see as critical points of diverse people. But we look at age. People of different age groups, the above 65s working with a team of 25-year-old IT engineers. People that came from a background of a very manual business, working in an environment of a highly automated business. People who understand the world as a place where we need face-to-face engagement with each other, working with people who prefer virtual engagement like this we currently have. Diversity could form such a long list, and we are not aware of the impact that diversity amongst people may have on the success of a team. Now, I'm not saying that we must have a team of all this. What I'm saying is, when there is diversity of people in a team, we must manage that with a high level of attention to the exact detail of the diversity. And we can only overcome this by bringing people around the table towards a common goal, motivated to fulfill a common outcome, and working with loyalty with each other and in a connectedness with each other that transcends the diversity of a team, because diversity is something that can compromise the success of a team. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with that in mind, I just want to have a few sentences on the leader of a team. The team leader must have a vision. Where are we going? And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at this group of rowers, the team leader sitting with her back towards us in the backside of the canoe, she watches the goal. And she directs them to the goal. And she has the goal in mind, and she talks to them. She makes them aware of where the goal is all the time. It's a focused spot of leadership. So, and this brings us to the next point. There must be focus on a single outcome and a single goal for every team engagement. What are we going? Where is this team going, and how do we get there optimally with maximum success? Then we need the leader must integrate the diversity into a single entity of success, or a single functional entity. So integration, ladies and gentlemen, has a lot of implications. We need to integrate their skills, we need to integrate their habits and their behavioral patterns, the diversity on other levels that we have, knowledge, background, age, everything must be integrated so that we keep our focus with the leader on reaching one single vision and outcome. I want to share with you something interesting, ladies and gentlemen. In a rowing team that won the Olympics a few Olympics when we still had Olympic Games, a few ones back, the winning team did something very interesting. They had all the left-handed rowers row with the rowing gear to their right. And all the right-handed rowers had their rowing gear to the left. And the reason for that was simple, ladies and gentlemen. It was, I just need to plug in my laptop because it's going to fail me, and then Lizette must finish the presentation. All the left-handed rowers were rowing to the right-handed were rowing to the left. Now, the reason for this is I want to show you the power point of the left-handed individual that pitched to that length of the rowing gear is much stronger than if this individual was right-handed. She has a shorter leverage on the rowing gear. And this gave them the advantage of winning the gold medal. And since that incident, it's standard practice. If you have 8 rowers, you want 4 left-handed and 4 right-handed ones. So if you perform on a top level, you want 4 left-handed, 4 right-handed rowers. That's how we source the top abilities. And even if it's a natural thing, ladies and gentlemen, a given thing, people do not decide to become left-handed or right-handed. It's been given to us. It's like blue eyes and green eyes. It's been given to us. So what we do is we must take these abilities, the habits, the skills, the uniqueness of people, and this is a leadership role. The leader must be able to identify the uniqueness of an individual and to then apply that uniqueness not as a holding point, but as an accelerator to the team. And this is where the innovation of the leader and the thinking and the capabilities of the leader to understand the challenges of the team come into play. And then obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we integrate and then we connect people. We tell them, you sit on this side, you row to your right because you are left-handed. Let me explain to you why this happens, because you have the advantage of a longer pivotal point on the rowing gear. So we explain it to them so that people connect, so that people understand they have a specific role to play in the team because of the specific capabilities, habits, skills, qualifications, or given attributes that they have to serve the success of the team. And we need to connect the team with good and transparent communication towards each of the roles that they have to play. And then the energy director. Now, this is where we will stop the presentation, ladies and gentlemen, and then we will go to the shadow match system. The leader has a critical role to direct the energy of a team. And this is actually the topic of our discussion for this afternoon. Where is the energy of the team located individually, and where is it located collectively? And I will show you. I will now, let me just see if I can just slide. Lizette, do you now see the team on Shadow Match? Not the team. Okay, I will stop sharing and then share again, and then just select another screen. There we go. You should now see the Shadow Match team graph. Good. So I've learned something. Don't just change your screen, rather unshare and then share again. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the team that I have in front of you, you will see that this is a project team, and rest your mind with the fact that all the names that we use are just names. They are not at all any preferred names. They are, or any real names. They are just names. So what I will do now is I will take you through this team. Obviously, you know the team functionality in Shadow Match, ladies and gentlemen. There are 15 members in this team. We can scroll down there. They're the names. These are true results, but obviously the names have been changed so that we can work with them. Now on this team graph, ladies and gentlemen, this is the average, the mean average of the team members in the team. So we could expect this to be the behavior profile of the collective of the team as a group. Let's have a few things just to refresh your mind. On change on the one side, stretched against maintaining the known, this team has a strong preference of habits to rather stay with what they know, maintaining the known, than to change just for the sake of change. Their collective shared habits of change is much softer than their collective habit of maintaining the known. Now, there's a good thing, they can make up their minds, but there are also downsides, but this is not a training session, so I'm just going to show you a few interesting points. Here we have active exploration. What's the difference between active exploration and change? To change means I'm changing my current environment to be a different one. Active exploration is I leave my current environment for a new one, and I explore a new environment or a new situation. This team, in terms of active exploration of the unknown, is quite soft, but they are strong on structure and discipline. So this is just an overview. On working collaborative as a group, they are relatively on the strong side. On this, working as independent individuals, they are on the softer side of that intensity indicator. On people preference, working with people and working with objects and tasks, they are more people inclined. I don't want to go into the cautious behavior and the bold behavior. These are just the 5 strong and the 5 soft collective habits of the team. But let's work with that a little bit later. So I'm going to show you now all the team members. Here they go. First thing, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to do anything. First thing is, this person, that individual, could become a team disruptor. It's not necessarily, unless the team leader manages this individual in a very mature way and integrate that individual in a proper way into the team, this individual could become a collective team disruptor or a disruptive agent, because her habits, ladies and gentlemen, are very different to that of the team. And if this individual has got very strong attitude category 2, listen carefully to what I say. If this individual has very strong attitude category 2 behavior on the results of the habits profile on shadow match, this individual can become a very destructive force in the team. But on the other side, this individual could become the biggest asset for the team, because she has habits that could fill the gaps in the team in such a wonderful way that she could serve the team as one of their strongest assets. Let me give you an example. If the team on quick and efficient, they are all within almost the same range of intensity. There's a difference there to there, but the difference is not that radical. And there's a task that needs to be pushed against serious time limits. The team leader must direct this individual to say, please take ownership of this and make it happen for me. It is very urgent. And then share with the team why Sophia, because of her habit of driving efficiencies and responsiveness and quick progress with the task. But on the other side, ladies and gentlemen, she's got something else, and that is a very high inclination of habits towards being accurate with great attention to detail. We can use her there. We can use her as a change agent in the team. We can use her to work in isolation when we need work to be done by a solo person, where the work needs to be done for the team by an individual focused on the task. That's what she can do. The rest of the team are actually more on the other side. Look at these people. They are more on the other side than on the independent and individualistic side. When we have task and object-related work that needs to be done without interference of people, who do we give it to? To this individual. What I want to show you, ladies and gentlemen, is that the diversity of a team could play a very positive role in the collective energy of the team if we manage it optimally. If we don't manage it optimally and Sophia starts to feel, I'm being excluded, I'm being pushed outside because I always ask questions around efficiencies and when will this be done? And I always ask questions about time and why is this deadline not met? And the team starts to push me aside. If that happens, this individual could destroy the team. So we must be careful for this. But let's now have a look at the rest. Now focus your mind on the rest without thinking about Sophia. We spoke about Sophia. What we have, ladies and gentlemen, in these areas, have a look there, the distribution of intensity of the habits of the team members are very close to one another. Look at this one. There are two slight outliers, but the rest of the team are very closely knitted in terms of the intensities of their habits. What does this mean? It means that they will easily agree on the intensities of changes that they plan to execute. So there's a high level, there's a high propensity of agreement on how to deal with change, when to deal with change in the working or in the team environment, and what the change intensity profile and speed and pace of change should be. So there's a lot of consolidation of energy towards change. So this is just on an eyeball level. I want to show you something different. When we talk about the two people habits, how we collaborate as a group and how we work with people in general, we see something that spells to the team leader a point of caution. If we work with tasks related to people, this team will not easily agree on the intensity, on the content, on the method, on the way, and on the pace with which we work with people. So this is an area where listen carefully to my word selection, where the energy of the individuals is spread into diversity. Or if I put it technically correct, the habits, the intensity of the habits of the individuals is of such diversity that it could compromise a single viewpoint in the team. I will say this again. Listen carefully. The habit intensities of the individual are of such diversity that it could compromise a single vision of the team on how to deal with people. Here we have the habits are very narrowly distributed. So the distribution of the intensities of the habits is such that it is very easy for these individuals to get a single point of agreement on how change should be happened and what the change, the pace and intensities should be. Now we know this. And I'm going to deal only with these two examples, ladies and gentlemen, because we have others as well. We have a narrow distribution here, and we have a very wide distribution there, and we have an extremely wide distribution there. Well, they are almost exactly the same in terms of the intensity of the habits. Now, let's say I'm the team leader. What does it say? It says, ladies and gentlemen, that I must expect the team members to agree very easily on some aspects of our work. But on some aspects, I must be careful. Because the energy, we've got energy focused points. The energy of change and how to change, when to change, what to change there's a very narrow distribution. So the energy is focused on soft, careful, and medium changes. Why do I say soft, careful, and medium changes? Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. The average sit there. The average of the team sits on soft, careful, and cautious change. And that's what the team, if I show the team members, it says that they will very easily agree on that point of the collective energy focus point in the team. Here we have with people we have quite a firm, that's a firm, strong, relatively strong way of dealing positively with people and in a collaborative manner. There it's confirmed. But now it's different, ladies and gentlemen. That's the energy, that's the focus point, the intensity of the team as a collective. But if we look at the team members individually now, these three may disagree with that point, and these three may also disagree with that point. So the distribution of the energy sits very wide, and we have different levels of understanding the intensity of the work that we have to do in relation to people, and getting everybody in the team to see this together with one focus point of energy is not that easy. So this, ladies and gentlemen, tells us a lot about the team. We can expect that when we work on issues of collaboration, on issues of people, when we work on issues of structure and discipline, the team leader can expect that the energy could easily scatter and there could easily be disagreement amongst team members. When we work about the speed and pace of our work, and we exclude Sophia from the discussion because we're only going to use her in high speed and quick and efficient tasks with a high level of urgency and deadline, the rest of the team will easily focus their energy and agree on that intensity level. So there's a narrow distribution of habits and their intensities. So now the team leader, ladies and gentlemen, he or she has an enormous source of information with regards to the team and the composition and the risk between a scattered energy towards the single point of focus and a very narrow or a consolidated energy of the team towards a single point of intensity with which the team will deal with certain aspects and themes in the team. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we need to go and have a look at something else. I think this is it, I hope. Let's see. Yeah, this is exactly what I want. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if we look at this portion of the shadow match team analysis graph, with this team, it's a project team, and they battle to deliver their projects. They battle to get through it, and they battle to succeed. Let's have a look where the subgroups, where they gather the majority of energy in the team, and where the team has got a void and is very compromised in terms of the availability of a strong group of habits and behaviors to drive specific results in the team. Let's start with the independent group. There's only one individual in this group. That's fine. It's an individual that prefers to work rather for the team than with the team. It's good. That's one person in the independent group. Not a problem. So there is not a lot of energy available for the team in terms of people working for the team and not with the team. So the habits of this individual is rather to stay on the side of the team and not to be pulled into the working engine of the team. Where could the team be hijacked? Here. There. This is a point, a theme, or a topic, or a work track that could be hijacked by the team, by the subgroup. Why? They are the majority, and they have people in that group with extremely strong people habits. So they could bring the agenda of the team, and they could force the agenda of the team to be a people's related agenda, which is good. That's fine, as long as we have an outcome in the interest of people. But ladies and gentlemen, what if this team is a group of engineers that must build something against a serious deadline? They have almost a void of energy and available people with strong habits that could drive action and tasks in the team. So, and I had a case study, ladies and gentlemen, of a project team that had to deliver an IT service in a big company, and there were about 20 people on the project team. And when I did this, 15 of them sat in the people's group, none of them in the task and action group, none of them, and not one of them in the problem solving group, and about 10 of them in the cautious group. So what happened? The cautious group was overloaded with a lot of energy towards careful, 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 don't, careful, 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 because that's their habits. And what happened is they couldn't make their deadlines because these people started to rule this activity in the team and this outcome in the team because they had a void. They were deprived from habits of people that could drive a task and an action to make things happen, to get the task and the job done. So with this team, ladies and gentlemen, has a strong focus on people-related strong habits that obviously brings a lot of people-related energy into the team, and they could take control of the agenda of this team. Where will this team struggle, ladies and gentlemen? Here, if the team needs to push the boundaries of risk, and they need to change, and they need to seriously change the agenda of their working outcome, or even their working goals and the way they're going to reach their goal. This group is absent. They don't have anybody. So the cautious group of 5 people could overwarn the team. The people's group could make them over aware of the people responsibilities that they have. The poor individual in the action and task group will feel that I want the job to be done and I don't have any support, and the problem solver will be overloaded with the awareness of problems that are unresolved. So where does the energy of this team reside? Where do we find it? We find it there. We have it there. Luckily, we have quite a lot of energy and people in the anchor group to hold the team together. Remember, the anchor group are those individuals with habits that could hold the team together and keep them on a single common ground space to do what is expected. So luckily they have a strong anchor group. But ladies and gentlemen, they have energy void components where they just don't have the habits, and they don't have the people with the habits to drive adventure and change, to drive problem solving and to be aware of the outstanding problems that needs to be resolved, and to drive action and task to get things actually done. So what the team leader must now say, and if you ever give feedback, ladies and gentlemen, you can, with very good research and a strong system, say to that team leader that you have a lot of people-related energy in your team, and it's based on the habits of your group. You have a lot of energy for being cautious and being careful and to see all the warning signs, but you don't have enough energy embedded in the habits of the people to actually take action, get things done, to solve the problems that the team face, and to push the boundaries of adventure. Luckily, you can say to this team leader, there are 4 individuals that could help you to hold this team together. So the energy distribution, ladies and gentlemen, is related to the intensity of the habits of the biggest group in the team. And they could easily use their habits, because this is what habits does, ladies and gentlemen. Habits do not listen to reason. They are, for that matter, quite stupid. They do not listen to arguments. They execute. And if we want to argue against habits, we are most likely to lose the arguments. Habits do not listen to reason. They listen to repetition of practice. So if we want to change them, we must change our behavior and repeat the behavior. We cannot reason habits out of our minds. That's not how habits work. Habits learn by repetition of behavior. And if we want to change them, it's a process. It's not a discussion or a decision or an argument. It's an habitual process of repetition. So in this team, ladies and gentlemen, the energy is distributed in such a way that I hope this team could change their direction to be a team that has an outcome and a focus and a goal of serving people, that there are not a lot of tasks to be executed and fulfilled, that there are an absence of problems, that they don't ever have to push the boundaries and use the adventure and change group to push forward, despite the fact that there are high risk components involved. And they have a strong, cautious group that could bring a lot of caution into the team awareness and warn them about things that might not even exist. Luckily, they have 4 people that could hold the team together. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to have a summary on everything, this gives you an indication of how the energy of the team is embedded in the collective subgroups of the team and their habits. And this is what we must be very aware of to manage the team optimally. We must be aware of how the energy and the habit intensities in the team are distributed amongst the subgroup as collective groups in the team. And then obviously, ladies and gentlemen, on this side, we must be aware of the areas where we will experience difficulties to get everybody on a single focus point, and where we will have it easy to get everybody on a single focus point. And we must be aware of this. So how to manage this team, ladies and gentlemen? We must work with this graph. We must work with this. We must give all the people things in the team to do to those individuals there, all the collaborative things to those individuals there, all these structure and discipline things to these people on the outside of this. So we must find roles for the people so that their habits could function properly in the interest of the team. And with that, we harness the energy of the team towards a common goal, despite the fact that we have high levels of diversity in the team. I will stop share the screen now and then take questions. Thank you very much, Lisette. Back and over to you.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you very much. That was very insightful. I'm sure everybody enjoyed it. We have no questions currently in the chat. The one I already answered. I'm just going to allow everybody to unmute yourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to just raise your virtual hand, or for a moment switch on your video and indicate by hand that you've got a question. Alternatively, you can just unmute yourself and then just start speaking. So give me a moment. Let me just allow you to unmute yourself. You should be able to now unmute yourself. If you can't, then you can, again, just by means of your hand show, and I can then unmute you. Great. Any questions? Let's see. Joseph, I see that you have unmuted yourself. Welcome. Have you got a question?
Yes, actually, I do have. In this conversation, I was getting a bit lost in the interchange between habits and behaviors and opinion. So when Peter was saying that the team could be hijacked, in my mind, that sounded like, okay, intentionally hijacked. But if we're looking at habits, my thinking was that it's probably that their performance would be better or would be leaning towards a particular result rather than intending to hijack. So you give them a task to do, they are more likely to be cautious than adventurous, rather than that they would choose to intentionally make it a particular way. And I was getting a bit confused with that. I'd like some clarification, please.
Yeah, Joseph, it's a good question. What I mean with the people's group could hijack the agenda of the team is they could, without realizing it, they could, by means of their habits, in a very sort of not even knowing it, push the agenda of people to the top end of the working outcome of the team, because they're very sensitive to people. They have strong people habits, and their habits seek a place to take the people side of things and push that as an important aspect. And with that, if the team is on a people's track, in other words, they need to provide food for people that was struck by bad weather, that's good. That's good. It's great, because they've got strong habits that push the issue of helping people to the forefront and the awareness of the team. But if it's an engineering team that needs to write a software package against a strict deadline, and they keep on, and this habits of working with people keep pushing, but we can't overwork over time, and we need to take care of our people, and we need, then that agenda shifts from a task agenda to a people-sensitive agenda. And I'm not saying it's bad. What I'm saying is that the team leader must be aware of it, that where the habits are consolidated in a big subgroup in the team, it could shift the awareness of the team to the theme where this big group sits. And the example that we have, it shifts the team awareness towards the people issues in their agenda. So these things are not obviously always conscious and under control. This is why I said habits do not listen to reason. Habits just start working. And if I have strong people habits, which luckily I don't, I would push the agenda of sensitivities towards people. But in my instance, for instance, Joseph, I have task habits. I have strong task and problem-solving habits. So I push the task. And when I am part of a team, I push the task. If my dear beloved wife is part of the team, she pushes the people side. My dear friend Shona, our dear friend Shona, that's on the screen, on my screen left bottom, Shona pushes the issue of sensitivities towards people. I push the task. I want the job to be done. So now we are in the same team, but Shona has got 5 colleagues around her pushing the agenda for sensitivities of people, and I am alone in my task driven. Who's going to lose the fight? I'm going to lose the fight. So we must be, the leader of the team must be aware of the fact that these big subgroups that is focused around a specific team could shift the focus of the team. And with that, and it happens because their habits drive their behavior. I hope that answers your question.
It does, I guess, and then brings up another one. So the mindset then of the people. So for example, you and I might be working together. If my mindset is a more accepting mindset to value you, I will let you do the tasks, knowing fully well that without you doing the tasks, I wouldn't succeed. But then, and if you did value me, when it comes to getting people on board, you would call me in to say, come, how do we do this? So that the mindset also, that's what I was hearing from you. The mindset can then be the thing that makes this whole thing work.
Sorry, Joseph, this is, you now lift the conversation to a very complex level. I'm convinced that our mindset is a result of the habits that push our behaviors. I want to give you an example. If my habits are task related, there's a point where I would say, listen, we must now get the job done. Whether it takes us throughout the night, I don't care. The job must be done. But if you are sensitive to people, you would say to me, Peter, there's nothing more important than the people around the table. We can't push them that far. So our mindsets are very much sort of rooted in our habits. And this is where the maturity of the team must come to play, as you rightly said. I must then be aware as the team leader or as a team member to say, Joseph, you are right. We cannot do this. We must rather finish this by Friday than tonight. So the maturity lies in the fact that I understand your preference and your habits that defines your approach to the task, and be accommodating. And you must then appreciate my preferences and my task drivenness to say, Peter, I actually thought of next week Friday, but I think we can try for this week Friday to accommodate me. I would then accommodate you by saying, instead of next week Friday, this week Friday, but I actually wanted it tonight. So this is where we must, as team members, be transparent around our habits so that we accommodate each other and understand each other and get common ground towards working together. And this is where Shadow Match plays a critical role in helping people to get that common ground. But it's a good question. Well done.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Ladies and gentlemen, just for the, I'm just sensitive to time, so I'm going to stop the recording. You're welcome to stay on and still ask more questions. We will be around for a few minutes longer. So just for the sake of the formalities, I'm going to end the recording and say thank you very much for attending. It was great seeing all of you, and we hope to see you at our webinars in the future.